Google shipped 3 Chrome updates at I/O 2026, and one of them will silently break your headless pipeline before Friday. If you run Playwright, Puppeteer, or any CDP-based scraper in production, you're about to spend a weekend debugging selectors that worked yesterday. Most recaps rank these updates by keynote applause. I'm ranking them by what actually broke on my server at 3 a.m. I run 340 headless Chrome sessions a day for client invoice pipelines. One past protocol change cost me 4 hours and a full day of failed renders. I read release notes defensively, not aspirationally. Let's start with the update Google buried on slide 47. So here's what actually happened at I/O 2026 for anyone running browser automation in production. Google announced 3 Chrome updates the crowd cared about, and a 4th one they barely mentioned. That's the one you actually need to test first. I'll get to that. Update 1, Chrome DevTools Protocol for Agents. Google added a new CDP surface designed for AI agents to drive the browser more reliably. Good news if you're building agent workflows. But if you're on Playwright or Puppeteer, there's a new default flag that changes how target attach events fire. On my invoice scraper, that means the listener I use to catch pop-up dialogues on Serbian tax portals gets the event roughly 80 milliseconds later. Sounds like nothing. On 340 sessions a day, that's enough to race condition my dialogue handler and skip captures. The fix is a one-line launch flag to restore the old behavior while you migrate. Test it before Monday. Update 2. Modern Web Guidance, the new agent-readable hints for site owners. This is genuinely good for scrapers. Sites that adopt it will expose structured navigation and form intent metadata, which means fewer brittle CSS selectors and fewer retries. On the tax portals I hit daily, if even half of them adopt this in the next quarter, I'm projecting somewhere around 18% fewer retry attempts per invoice run. That's real compute savings on a home server that's already thermal throttling in summer. And this is the trap. The hints are advisory. Sites can misdeclare them. Don't rip out your fallback selectors. Layer the hints on top. Treat them as a fast path. Keep the old path as a safety net. Update 3. AI assistance inside DevTools itself. This one I'm actually using every week. When a selector breaks, I open DevTools, point the assistant at the element, and it suggests a resilient selector based on nearby stable attributes. On a recent Serbian invoicing portal that redesigned overnight, this got me from broken to shipping in about 4 minutes instead of the 40 it used to take grepping through minified React. Not magic. It still guesses wrong on Shadow DOM and iframes. But for flat pages, it's a genuine time collapse. Now the one Google buried. Chrome is changing how the print-to-PDF pipeline handles embedded fonts under headless mode. If you render invoices, contracts, or reports server-side, your PDFs may render with substitute fonts starting on the next stable channel. On my pipeline, that means an invoice I sent a client last week and an invoice I send next week could have visibly different typography. For a regulated document, that's not cosmetic. It's an audit problem. Check your font embedding config. Set embed fonts explicitly. Regenerate a known good invoice, and if the bytes before you deploy. Here's my defensive checklist for this week. 1. Pin your Chrome version in Docker, and don't auto-update production. 2. Run your full scraper suite against Chrome Canary now, not after rollout. 3. Add a smoke test that renders a reference PDF, and byte compares it to a golden file. 4. Log CDP event timings so you catch race conditions before your customers do. 5. Subscribe to the Chrome Release Notes RSS and actually read the deprecations section. It's usually 3 lines that matter more than the entire keynote. Hot take. The updates Google is proudest of are almost always the ones that quietly break existing automation. The flashy Gemini demos get the applause. The boring DevTools Protocol changes are what determine whether your Monday morning is calm or chaotic. I'd rather have a Chrome release with 0 new features and a stable CDP than any AI demo on the main stage. Stability is the feature. If you run Headless Chrome in production and want the 5-point regression checklist I use before every Chrome stable rollout, plus real examples of how we ship these pipelines for clients, head to BizflowAI. While you're deciding, hit subscribe and ring the bell so the next automation breakdown lands in your feed instead of getting lost.